Last week, we talked about Joseph and Mary traveling to Bethlehem and baby Jesus being born. This week, we're going to go out into the pasture areas. There was sheep out in the pastures. The sheep are an interesting animal, or domestic sheep. Wild sheep are different, but the domestic sheep, they're a pretty defenseless animal. They can't really take care of themselves. They can't protect themselves from predators. They're very susceptible to disease. They will eat things that will kill them. Most animals won't, but sheep will. Their wool grows. We have bred them in such a way that their wool will eventually grow till it's too heavy for them to move around if we don't cut it every year. It's like a haircut once a year. And so they need people to take care of them. And the people who take care of sheep, we call shepherds, which makes sense. The two words are related. One time, out in the pasture, the shepherds were watching their sheep. It was nighttime. I imagine everything was very, very quiet and just peaceful. You imagine being out watching the sheep and look up at the stars and enjoy the quiet and the peace. Suddenly, an angel appeared to those shepherds. And the angel said, "Don't be afraid." That's how it has to start, because we generally get afraid when we see spiritual beings suddenly appear out of nowhere because we don't understand. It's a little startling. It's not an everyday event. So the angel said, "Don't be afraid. I bring you great news. The town nearest you is called Bethlehem, and in that town, the Messiah that has been prophesied since the beginning has been born." And after the angel said that, the Bible says there was a whole group of angels, just all of a sudden, see how many we can get up there, a whole bunch of angels, and they were singing songs to God and praising God that the Messiah had been born. Now, do you know who the Messiah was supposed to be? All of us sin at some time. We all rebel against God. We all do things that we know are wrong. The penalty for sinning is eternal death. But God loved us. Just from the very beginning, He loved us. He knew, before He created the earth, that each of us would be here. And He loved us. So He said, we've got to fix a way so that there's an option to not have eternal death. And so the Messiah, Jesus, was God. He put on a robe of flesh, and He lived a life with no sin. So he lived His whole 33 years. He did not sin at all. Only human who ever walked the earth who didn't sin, because He was human and He was God at the same time. So He didn't deserve to die. He's the only one who's ever not deserved to die. But He chose to die anyway. And He died for us. So we owe the bill of death because we sinned, and He paid our bill for us. So that we don't have to have eternal death. We can go to heaven. All we have to do is accept that payment that He gave for us. Now, we don't have to accept it. We can leave it laying out on the doorstep. But if we accept it and accept Him into our heart, we get to go to heaven. Now, isn't that cool? You think the shepherds were excited? Yeah, they were so excited, they left their sheep and they ran into town and they went and they saw Jesus. And then they went around town and told everybody that they saw Jesus and who He was supposed to be and all the wonderful things that had happened to them that night. They were pretty excited. It was a pretty cool thing to happen to them. Okay, so let's sing a song. And an appropriate song. The Lord is my shepherd. Okay? The Lord is my shepherd.